from going live. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to go live really quick. Keep in mind my kids are right here and they extra. I just wanted to go live really quick. If you've watched one of my earlier videos where we were at the Kentwood Public Schools administration building talking to the superintendent after the fight between the boy and a girl today here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Kentwood, Michigan, I should say, at East Kentwood High School. I just wanted to wrap this up in a bow and let you know what happened and what are the next steps. Are you trying to get on live? You can. I do not care. You can come behind me if you want. But again, my kids are here. And we are actually in my home office / the laundry room because, you know, it was just a whole tornado thing. And so we just was kind of chilling in here. There's a lot going on, guys. So, yeah, I just wanted to wrap this up and say that I did stay for the whole meeting. Are we satisfied as parents and as community leaders? I'll say it's a wait and see game. At the end of the day, I realized before, and I realize now more than ever, that we as a community, especially Black people, in order to protect our children, we have to not only advocate for ourselves in these moments, but we have to I hope you were actually trying to get on, because if you are, I'm adding you. But we have to advocate for ourselves in these moments, and that's what we did today. But then we also have to do some follow-up to hold them accountable. And so that is the part that I'm excited to see. Hey, cousin.
Going on?
Nothing much. I guess I was just wrapping this up in a bow and kind of talking about what happened today.
Yeah, I think two things people got to understand is that what they did is they took a lot of questions, a lot of data from us during that meeting and wrote it down, which they can't give us the answers as they writing it down. They got to go and read the data, come back. And so I wanted to make sure as I walked out and told, because I had to get my daughter, I had to tell. I told one of the admins that there's a time limit on this. It's not like this is not an open-ended thing. Today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. By Monday, you should have been able to look over and do some things. What I also requested for them to do was that a letter should have went out to all the East Kentwood students' parents today stating what they're going to do for tomorrow, meaning immediate actions they're going to take for tomorrow to make sure that people feel safe and secure. And I'm not with East Kentwood. It's secure when you're coming in to get out, but I think they're missing the safe part, and they kept saying about the culture, and I'm not saying that they have a bad culture. I'm just saying that their culture accepted what was going on, and that was from the students to the faculty to the security staff up there, right? Like it was open for them to, some people were in shock, I understand, but as a collective, the students that was there watching, it was normal, even though people say, oh, it wasn't normal. It had to be because nobody walked away, nobody said stop, nobody did anything. I think that they tried to bully us today, and I'm not one to get bullied. They tried to bully us. They tried all type of tactics that you see used to discourage and get people to react in a manner in which then they have a reason to deny you access or to turn you around or kick you out. They tried to keep us outside. They tried to keep us
8-degree weather
while they were inside. I did have to let them know that, hey, this is a public building. It's during your office hours. It's open until 4 o'clock. We can come in as the public, as long as we're not disturbing and we're conducting business. And now we have questions, and the person who you say the questions need to be asked to, this is where they messed up at. The person who you say the question need to be asked to is not here. So we're taking the notion to wait for that person. So we are still within our right to sit there and wait for that person to show up. One thing that I
I think they should have offered us that building. You know, the room that we were in?
Yeah.
Did you see the sign on the door that said it's a Kentwood Collaborative Center?
Oh,
So it's
I didn't see that.
like if you had the space open and available for us
They did.
as citizens who built this building, who, you know, residents of Kentwood, whose children are in Kentwood, who we pay taxes and millage and all these other fees and fundraisers and things like that in order to build these things. Why weren't we offered this in the first place? We didn't have to stay in that lobby. We could have been in there congregating, talking while y'all did go get the superintendent from hiding.
See, my thing was a couple of things that I thought that they weren't prepared for. One, they wanted everyone to come in and talk about race.
Yeah.
They wanted everybody to focus on that. They wanted everybody to be in an uproar about that. Rightfully so, people should. But then you have to strategically look at who you're dealing with and the system in which you're dealing with. And that system that we're dealing with, my thing is, let's look at what you can control. You can't control what that young man did. Can't control what the young lady did. You cannot. What you can control is what your policies say should have happened from your staff, and where your staff should have been strategically placed inside of that school. You know, and I asked specific questions to the safety manager when I met with him at 2:00 before this meeting, me and a couple of the fathers. And those answers the questions that I asked, he didn't have a lot of good answers for him. And the answers he was giving me, unbeknownst to him, was digging a hole for him, because I was asking them for a specific reason so that I can analyze what he said versus what he says the policy is and actually what happened. And so he poked holes in his own story. I think that the superintendent was scared of the amount of people that showed up, and the amount of people that showed up was mostly women, like always, mostly black women that showed up. And a lot of times emotions get high, and when emotions get high, people tend to emotionally react. And I'm not an emotionally reacting person. And so I'm like, let me speak to you and tell you what we want right now is to come in the building. The other thing that we want is to make sure that you're not speaking to 5 of us. And the reason I wanted to make sure that they didn't pick 5 people is because historically, anytime that African Americans have an issue, they want us to pick a leader. Yeah. They want us to pick someone that they feel comfortable with to talk to. They don't want the Malcolms, they only want the Martins, right? Not realizing that Martin was just as bad as Malcolm. He just talked nicer, right? And so that's why I told them, no, we reject you saying 5 people. And they said, why? Because it's your 5 that you said. We didn't agree to that. And so what it was that be happy that we're giving you something. We're giving you 5 people to come and talk to us. And as I said to the superintendent, if we only accept what you give us, we'll never truly have what we really deserve. And so therefore, no, we came as a group. You will speak to us as a group, because I'm going to use against you what you've been preaching the whole time. We love the parents. We love the students. It's not our culture to dismiss people. It's not our culture to do this. It's not our culture to do that. So now you have to prove to me that it's not your culture. Let us all in, speak to all of us, and be present. I understand that you can't give us the information that we want about what happened between the young man and the young lady. That's cool with me. I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for is was policy followed? Who dropped the ball and who's going to be held accountable for that? Those are the things that we can control. And what does tomorrow look like? And not tomorrow looks like as far as the race relations, because we know that there's an issue with that. But what does tomorrow look like with the policy that failed? How do we immediately change the policy that failed? How do we get more staff on the floor when the youth are transitioning? How do we do that? How do we not control, but how do we retrain our teachers on how to handle hostile situations inside of the classroom before it goes out? Was she supposed to call? Was she supposed to call? Did she call? Did they not answer? These are questions that can be answered without divulging who this was, student race is, none of that. So these are why I ask these policy questions. Policy questions can be answered because it's your policy. You wrote it. You wrote it down. Now, did you abide by it? I don't think so. The way that it was handled to the school, to the district, was handled wrong. The way that they sent a guy out there to get, I said, stabbed 9 times by a whole crowd. He had no answers, and he did his best. Don't get me wrong. He had no answers, but they kept sending him out there, and that was a tactic to keep giving us no information so people would leave. And when they realized that we weren't going anywhere and nobody threatened to fight or break windows or break it in, none of that. Simply it was, we need to speak with you today, and this should be the most important thing that's going on in your district right now. And if you're about the students and you're about the parents, then you need to meet with us now to hear what we have to say. If you don't hear what we have to say, then people are going to speculate what they think is going on, speculate how the board feels. So we don't need for you to do that. Come out and say, hey, I can't say anything about the youth or what's going on with them, but I can tell you what we're going to do tomorrow to make sure that this is a safer place. They never said that. And then they had us to sign in. They tried to have us to sign in to come into the building, sign in, and we'll give to you each one of you and let you know when the meeting is going to happen. And it's like, no. You can't say text me, we'll let you know when the meetings happen, because this is something that's immediate. It happens now. All of you guys are here. They kept lying and saying all of the people who need to be here is not here. You guys, and as I said outside, they're having a meeting before the meeting, which is okay, or whatever. But I think that as a community and as fathers, that we have to show up. When we showed up at East Kentwood at 2:00 and walked into the school, and they tried to play nobody's available, and I told them, well, give me whoever's available. That's who I want. You want the principal, the assistant principal, you want the dean? No. I want whoever is available, because if I tell you who I want, you're going to say they're not available.
They're not available, exactly.
Give me whoever's available. And we went in, and me and a couple of fathers, we spoke to the safety manager, and he told us what happened and told us some of his feelings about it, which was all great and dandy, but it was a fact-finding mission for me. I had no intentions of anybody going up there and trying to start a riot or fight. The kid is already gone, so there was nothing for that to happen. But I would have liked for more fathers to just show up, because when you show up, they treat you different when you show in mass. When men show up, they seem to treat you different. And not saying myself, but when I spoke, they listened, because I was a man. They were trying to overtalk the ladies who were there, who had valid points and valid questions before we went into the thing. Go ahead.
Let me tell you from my perspective what happened, because I was there at 2:58. So I got my children. My husband is at work. Otherwise, he would have been there. So what we decided is we're going to grab all of my children, my niece and nephew from the Kentwood Public Schools, take them to my sister's house, because they had to wait on one more nephew to get home from school at 4:00. So we all sat them down, got them out by 2:30, got them at the house and debriefed them, asked them, did they hear about it? What is going on? Okay, Mom, me and my sister, her children and my children are sitting there. Dad's at work. We're going to go up to the school board and we're going to advocate on your behalf. We need y'all to do your homework. We need y'all to keep it in house, keep the door closed. We prepped them. Got there at 2:58. The gentleman who was the head of security was already standing outside. There was already 2 police cars and 3 unmarked police cars when I pulled up at 2:58. Obviously, they seen that posting that said, hey, we're going to go advocate at 3 p.m. at the administration building, right? So they already knew. The police was already there, right? So we get there. A couple of the women who were from the grassroots activist groups were there. We started collaborating, gathering. There was about 10 women there at first. We went up to the guy, just like you said, trying to dismiss us. No, we cannot come in, getting the runaround. Nobody's available. The moment you and the other men, I'm presuming probably the men who went up to that school came over, y'all came over. We went from, oh no, we can't, to, well, let's get some, you asking questions, we getting some answers. All of a sudden we start getting some answers. Before, when it was just us women, we couldn't get any answers. We couldn't get in. They didn't want to talk to us. They didn't want to do anything like that, right? So then once y'all start working on magic, the men that were out there, then we can get into the building. So then we were met with another roadblock. Oh no, only 5 people. Only 5 people. Then y'all said, no, we are not settling with 5 people. That is not acceptable, right? Then we were able to get into the room. And then once we got into the room, they were trying to block off new parents from coming in there, knowing that there's parents at 5:30, 6 o'clock getting off work, had to settle their kids, right? There are some people's kids who didn't get out until 4:30 after school program, arch program, who are getting there later. They wanted to keep them outside. It wasn't until the men and the women, there were some women, but the men spoke up and articulated and said, no, let them other people in too. We're not putting a time limit on this. I think either you or the other gentleman said, we here as long as it takes. We ain't putting no time limit on this. That's when the doors open.
Yeah, it was basically listening to what they were saying because they were scrambling and using what they were saying back against them. First he said, I'll be here as long as it takes. And he also said, we'll have a meeting, but it was no time that was set. So he said, oh no, they're late. And I said, they can't be late to a meeting that doesn't have a start time. Is that correct? The superintendent said, but I'm up here, but they can't be late to a meeting that doesn't have a start time. You didn't even know this meeting was happening, so they're not late. Then he said, well, we want to make sure that it's enough room for everybody. So then I said to him, you guys had us wait out there. You set up the room. You put all of these chairs down, and you know the fire code for your building. So you put down enough chairs for people to sit in. Why are there empty chairs in here? If there's empty chairs, that means that they can come in. Or did you put out too many chairs and are you violating your own fire code? No, we're not. Okay, then they should be able to come in. Can they come in? Superintendent, now he's looking like, yeah, of course. Yeah. Yes, let them in.
If it had been only us women, we wouldn't even have gotten in the building. And that's one thing, you know, I want to commend you and all the other men, especially the Black men who came out today, who were advocating on behalf of your children, because we needed y'all there, because we can only do so much. Because you know what? They look at Black women as, y'all just rah-rah, y'all just talking, y'all overly emotional. It's not that big deal. It wasn't until when all of y'all Black men showed up, especially the Black men who were fathers and the Black men activists who were around, like the Urban League came, Rob S. came, which is my uncle. I just found out is actually my biological uncle, came, different things like that. It wasn't until people start showing up from the community, then they were like, oh, okay, let's sit you down. Let's get some questions answered. Because remember, I don't know if you were there. They told us when we first came up, he said we could not have a meeting today, that's not protocol, that we have to, that he's going to get all of our information and call us back another time.
And I told him, what is more important than this right now? And he said we got to have a formal meeting. And I said, and that's what I told him. I said, I think it's in the best interest of the school and the community for you to talk today. Like, it's just even if you come on and say, I can't answer everything, but I want to let you know that I hear you, I understand, I'm going to take some questions. I may not be able to answer everything, but I'm letting you know that this is the culture, as they kept saying, this is the culture that we want to foster. I think that the next step for me, you know, and I know there's always a lot of rah, 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 then things die down, then rah, rah, things die down. But for me, it's the next step is tomorrow morning calling and asking what happened, what did you guys put in place today that's going to help yesterday not to happen. And then all those questions that they got, because we got to give them time. It was a lot of stuff that they wrote down. And I'm glad that they wrote everything down than just trying to listen and regurgitate it later. So I want to know, what's your time frame on getting back to the community, getting back to the parents, because it can't be 3 weeks later. It can't be 2 weeks later. This needs to be top priority for 2 reasons. One, everybody who watched that fight wasn't everybody in the school, which means that the emotions of the people who didn't sit there and record, who wasn't in that circle, who go to that school, may have some emotions that they're going to express because now they know about it. Yep. Now they understand this is what happened. And not saying that they're going to do anything, but emotionally, how would that make them feel? I was watching it, the video, and I almost dropped a tear. I felt every kick.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I was angry at first. I was angry and I was enraged, but I had to calm myself and understand that's not how you move. But I have a daughter, and how would I feel if no one helped my child? How would I feel if this happened to my child? Now, I don't know the ins and outs, and nobody knows but the people who are there. I'm not talking about the ins and outs. Fights are going to happen. What he did was excessive, right? It was very excessive. Fights are going to happen. I just think that the school failed to protect her.
Yeah.
Failed to protect a woman who happened to be an African-American woman, right? Who from a guy forcefully kicking her in the face and no one came. I think the video was like 19 seconds, right? And the reason why I said 19 seconds stood out is because the space where the safety person said the door to the teacher was versus where it happened at, and she never came out. And he had to stop kicking her for it to stop. Had he continued to kick her, he would have got more kicks.
Yes, he would have.
So I'm more concerned on who didn't follow policy, who didn't follow procedure, why didn't they follow it? He said, so I asked him the questions of how many people do you have up there? He's telling me all of these things freely because he thinks, oh no, we have people scheduled up there. There's people in the hallways, but nobody was there. So somebody didn't go to their assignment. Somebody dropped the ball. Where was security? What do you usually do in pastime? You know, the biggest thing is they said security was on the other side of the hall because that's where they're supposed to be. But the whole school population on that area was on the right side, which you can see. It's lunchtime. Why is everybody over there crowded up in the circle? As security, I'm going down there. So was there actually security there? The teacher knew that something was going on because it happened in the classroom. She didn't call anybody, or did she? That's the biggest thing. If she called someone, because she could have been afraid herself, don't get me wrong. If she called someone and they failed to act, then that's the issue. So those are the questions that I want to answer. I can't answer the questions of what should happen to him, because no matter what I think should happen to him, what's going to happen to him is what's going to happen to him, right? They need to make sure that the first thing they do tomorrow is reach out to that family and offer services to that young lady.
Exactly.
Right? Because not only did she suffer humiliation with her underwear being showed and out on the floor, and I heard her nose possibly was broken, her ankle. You know, that's trauma, right? But what do we do now? And what do we do with our students? Are we only talking about these issues when they happen? Now, I can tell you this. People, there's black kids fighting each other all the time, this and that. If this was a black young man who kicked 7 times a black young lady, I would have had the same reaction.
We would be up at that school board.
Same reaction. What the hell going? You know, what the hell's going on? Because it was a young lady. That's the key. It was a young lady, and it was excessive, and nobody stopped him, and nobody tried to stop him. Nobody said stop. People egged him on. And where was the staff? For that many students to be in one area and no staff, and I'm sure they got security cameras, and nobody showed up and nobody seen anything. And one of the things one of the ministers said, "Oh, we see kids breaking up fights all the time, and when we see them breaking up, we go and talk to them, tell them things." So was the norm or not? I know this time it did not happen, and just because it always doesn't happen doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that we don't focus on it because this is a one-time thing. No, we nip it in the bud now. We let them know that we care about our students. We care about this. We care about our black young ladies as much as we care about every student, but we care about our own like everyone else does, right? It's a different type of love. I just don't want it to die down and people to think that it's okay. I'm not going to let it go. I'm already sending an email to Omar, who's the principal over there, in the morning for an update, because I want to know what happened today. Like, it's okay to tell me what your plan is for the next time it happens or the next time. That's cool. But what is the plan for tomorrow? Because tomorrow is going to tell what your culture is.
Exactly.
That's what tomorrow is going to tell us. And that's from the students. That's from the teacher. And if the teacher failed to do what she was supposed to do, she deserves to be fired,
exactly.
Right? Or him. I keep saying him or her, right? If security was supposed to be there at that point, That's where they were stationed at, and they were not. And they were doing something other than what was assigned to them, because they could have got pulled. We don't know. They could have got pulled to another situation or whatever. But if they did not get pulled to another situation and they just failed to be there, which they could have prevented this from happening, prevented her from hitting him from hitting her from getting kicked, then they need to be fired, whoever they are, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the superintendent needs to be trained on how to communicate with families and people during a crisis, because he didn't handle that well at all. I think that the communications officer needs to be fired, because of the manner in which he said, I'm the communications officer, and tried to communicate was horrible, and turned this back to everybody and everything. So it was a lot of chinks in the armor. I think that the way that the parents, when we came into that meeting, I think the way it was first handled, little rowdy, little obscene, right? But we got it together and got it under control. As I told them when they said only 5, oh, you think that we can't get in here, act right, and tell you what's going on? No, we're going to show you that. We're not going to give you a reason for that. So we got it together. It was emotions, so we got it together. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And just as much as it happened at East Kentwood today, it can be Ottawa tomorrow. It can be Union. It can be any of these other schools tomorrow that this happens. But the thing is that we got to show up every time, all the time. Every time.
That's the thing. That's the reason why me and a couple of other people put together a group, a Facebook group, and I'm going to put the link that you can join if you are interested. It's the Kentwood Public Schools Community Collaboration Group, where we're going to be following up, and we're going to be asking these questions, and we're going to be doing our due diligence to where this is not swept under the rug, because we don't want this to be one of my children, your children, or anybody else's children ever again, no matter what the color is, right? But then also we need to talk, and I mean, cousin, I came home and you would have thought it was my kids that this happened to, and that it was my kids that was the offender, because I had a bone to pick with the culture and the children there, especially the Black children there, who was watching this Black girl get kicked in the face. So I definitely told my children, do not be a bystander, do not be a bully, do not just have your phone out. The very least you could have done is went and got some help. The very most you could have done is moved him on out of there, move your friend up out of there, do what you need to do to de-escalate the situation. Because now we have some people told me he's white, some people told me he's Hispanic, whatever the little boy is. Some people told me that the boy is now a juvenile, and Superintendent Poston made up a good point between the children to prison pipeline. It's a whole real thing. And so if the teachers would have done what they were supposed to do, if the students would have done what they were supposed to do, if the two people involved manage their emotions better, we wouldn't have a broken foot, we would not have a concussion, we would not have a girl humiliated, we would not have a boy who is potentially in juvenile right now. So I think on so many different levels, so many people need to be held accountable. And I don't know who the parents of the young lady or the young man is, but from what I've seen, and again, I'm speculating, I do not know what happened. But what I'm saying is, when I came home, as for me in my household, when I came home, my husband and I told our girls, don't you run up on no boy unless you want to get knocked out like one. And to the girls, to my son, don't you touch a female. If you can't manage your emotions, you need to walk away, punch a wall, punch a locker, do not hit her. Right? Even if she's swinging on you, hand her, like cuff her up, do whatever you need to do. But you're not about to kick somebody in the head. You're not about to kick no boy in the head if you're a boy. You're not about to kick no girl in the head if you're a girl. Period. That is absolutely unacceptable. And so we, even in the Black community, because I can't speak for other communities, I can only speak for myself, right? In my community and how we operate, that is unacceptable for you to be a bystander for somebody, whether they were Black, white, blue, or purple, male or female. You were wrong for sitting there watching somebody get kicked in the head. You were.
But you know what? That goes back to mental. It's a emotional detachment. Like a lot of these youth have emotional detachment. They're not emotionally attached to it. Like it didn't emotionally affect them. Us as parents, it emotionally affected us. Like, man, what the heck?
I was ready to be like, hold on. Like it was my child.
it was more excitement. It was more excitement. It was more entertainment. So you know, and if you look at the video, there's some people sitting there like this, and you can tell they're not moving because they're shocked. And that's black kids, white kids, Hispanic kids. They're just as afraid emotionally as you could be physically of someone. So
and rightfully so.
I don't blame the ones who froze up, but the ones who grabbed their camera and decided to video it. I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to people videoing stuff like this, because then it holds that person accountable. But if it's like first aid. When you get there, you send somebody to call 911. You send somebody to do the scene. So yeah, keep recording. But somebody has to stop what the action that's going on. So the recording is going to save the person who steps in and stops the person, and it's going to help whatever comes out of that legally or whatever, or school-wise. I just think that there should have been more staff. They said that they have a schedule. That's what I'm requesting.
But did you also hear the superintendent say that they're short-staffed?
I listen. I understand that.
So my thing is, so you're short-staffed, but you're not short on children. How does that work? Why wasn't it communicated to us before we sent our children 4 days ago that say, hey, we have 3,000 students that is in this building and we are short-staffed right now on security? How come we weren't made aware of that?
Well, I learned that they used to have 4 security officers. And then it's like, well, now we have 7. And I said, oh, and I know it's budget-wise, and you know all of that, but I'm used to being in a school where the admins come out, where the secretary comes out, the library, everybody's out when the kids are out to make sure that they're moving around. And so when I asked the superintendent that, he said that there is a schedule for people to be out. So where is that schedule, and who was supposed to be out, and where were they? And my thing is you were short-staffed before the school started, right? That means when you made this schedule for people to be up there, you did it with the staff that you had. So you can't say nobody was up there because we're short-staffed when you were short-staffed when the year started, and you told me now you have a schedule of who's supposed to be out there. So where are those people? Those are questions that you can answer because you wrote the policy, you wrote the procedure, you have it. You can answer those, and that's the only questions that I want to answer, is the ones that I know you legitimately can answer. You can't answer anything about what he was thinking, or if he had racist thoughts, or if she had racist. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can see the video, but I wasn't there. No, tell me how the system worked. Now, if the system worked, then the system worked. It did not work.
And that's the thing.
Clearly, it did not work.
That's the thing. It's like going forward, now that we're sending 3,000 students back tomorrow, and you still allegedly have either 4, because some people are saying that there's 4 security guards. Some people are saying there's 7. Regardless of it is, you're saying you're short-staffed and you don't have enough to police everywhere, and you do want to have more staff on your team. So what can you do to supplement until you get more in-house security officers? Because like somebody just posted in the comments, 3,000 people for 7 officers, that is unacceptable. Students that are growing into their testosterone, students that are struggling with immense pressure from society, all those different things cannot manage their anger effectively. They absolutely need to be secure in the way of having more security. Hold on, he just drops off. I think does GRPS have their own police? Do you mean like in the city, do they have their own police? Because Kentwood has their own police. Kentwood Police Department, we have our own police here, and we actually hire through the school to have 1 police officer at the school at all times, and he was actually on the premises, and this still happened. So we did have an actual police officer from the Kentwood Police Department that is assigned to East Kentwood to be there every day. He was absolutely there today, and this still happened. So it's just going to be very interesting. But yeah, if you want to get connected and stay connected just for the school, yes, there is a lot of students. So this is a mega campus compared to other high schools, right? And so for the simple fact that there has been school shootings going on in the world, there has been stabbings, there has been issues They now have a closed campus, but it used to be an open campus, closed campus, all these different things that can happen. The Kentwood Police Department thought, and the school district thought it was appropriate to assign a police officer that stays there 24/7 in order to be, you know, a deterrent for a lot of riffraff, but also if something pops off, there will be quick person to respond to the scene. There'll be a police officer who can respond, and then also dispatch in order to get more backup in a timely manner. That is the goal of having him there. So why didn't that happen today? Although that has been the goal, we have no idea. That is the question that we still have. And like Superintendent Polson said, hey, I've been here with you. I haven't been able to hear what was going on with the investigation, so I don't know. So they're going to get back to us with some of these answers to the questions that we have, like I just said. And so when we created this Facebook group, this is a group where we're going to be putting in the answers to those questions, because like William said, like Kylie and all these other people who are interested in keeping East Kentwood accountable while our children are there, this is not just a one-time thing. We absolutely are going to be waiting on the follow-up. And if the follow-up is not correct, we are going to implement meetings upon meeting upon meeting upon meeting with whoever we need to talk to until we get this school system secure, because it's 70% minority. That is the thing, is 70% minority. And for me as a Black American, I believe he just came back in his Wi-Fi must be messing up. As a Black American, I wholeheartedly believe, since my forefathers and foremothers built this country and off their backs, that we absolutely should have the ability to send our children to a quality public school where we pay our taxes to every month, and every time we get paid, and every year when it gets taken out of our check, that we absolutely should be standing on next and advocating for our children, especially our Black children, our Black and brown children, to make sure that they can go to a school system that was created for them, that when Grand Rapids was gentrified and all these other neighborhoods were gentrified, we was pushed into the Kentwood area, and now you don't want to hold the standard that we have for our children. It absolutely needs to be addressed. It absolutely needs to be addressed, and Foot is on that. At this point, Foot is on that. They have been notified and noticed. I just put the link to the group. They have been notified and noticed that, and put on notice that this is not acceptable. This is absolutely not acceptable. Our children have every right to feel secure and comfortable when they go to school and when we send them into your care. And if you do not feel like that you are able to do that, you need to communicate that to us. I understand about budget cuts. I understand that COVID did a number to not only businesses, but to school districts, school systems, supply chain, jobs, all these different things. There's people who aren't able to work. There's people who do no longer want to work, who no longer want to do security. All these other things. I understand it's very nuanced. But like everybody at that meeting said, and if you haven't watched the videos, go back and watch the videos. We are all more than willing to volunteer and head up to that school, and we need to stand in the gap until they're able to secure the campus like they need to. Because I guarantee you, with more dads and moms, especially who looks like us, and with the 70% of us populating that school, standing in them hallways, them kids wouldn't be acting like that. That little boy wouldn't have acted like that. That little girl wouldn't have acted like that. So that's my thing, is let me know what we can do as parents. Let us know so we can stand in the gap. If you are incurring budget cuts and you can't get people to secure the property, let us know that. Be transparent about that. Because guarantee you, if this video didn't go around, and this is the issue with Kentwood. Kentwood loves to say we are a blue ribbon school. We do this, we do that. I went to Kentwood. I was an honor student. It set me up for great success. So I know the good parts of Kentwood, right? My daughter is in there. My nephews went there. All that, right? I understand. I am invested in this Kentwood community. I've been in Kentwood since 2000 and have not left, right? So I'm invested in this community. This is the thing. Let me know. Let me know what I'm signing my kids up for. Let me know what I'm walking into. Because no one is saying that the kids shouldn't act the way they acted. No one is saying parents don't need to be involved. And no one is expecting the security and the administration to be superheroes and to make sure that there is zero crime on the campus. Fights is going to happen. Kids are, especially boys, growing into their testosterone. They start feeling themselves, you know, they feeling a girl, they want to act macho and tough. It is what it is, right? But if you do not have the structure in place to secure 3,000 plus students a day, that we need to know that so we can help you out. And that's what we told them tonight. Going forward, we need transparency on whether or not you can handle our children going to this school, because if you can, we absolutely can. We need to hear about these things. Another thing that was brought up that was really good, that somebody talked about, how there's this initiative right now that teachers are not trying to tell parents what's going on with their students because they're trying to advocate for students. Students that are in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and dare I say 12th grade. I'll give 12th graders a pass because their prefrontal cortex is starting to come together, but it don't come together until it's like 20 till you're 25 years old, right? So they're starting to understand how to act. But when you are 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade, they are still very childish. They might have some hair on their chest and under their arms and a little bit on their upper lip, but those kids are still very childish. They're still learning on how to manage emotions, how to deal with conflict, how to, walk away from certain situations. So they still need security. They still need guidance. So if teachers are saying, let's keep it between you and I, we're not going to tell your mom how you feeling and what's going on and who's bullying you, what's happening, well, who you argued with, how do we know how to help our children? Because guess what? Our children are not acting like that in the neighborhood. Our children are not acting like that when we take them to church. Our children are not acting like that in our household. They only go there because they have these white teachers who's trying to play superhero and white savior to try to keep it under the rug and play nice with them. They don't need that. They need somebody who's going to instill discipline and order and keep it. And if you don't, I'm going to get in collaboration with your parents. I'm going to get in collaboration with your grandparents, with your aunt and uncle, with the school leaders, with the dads that come up here every Tuesday and Thursday, with your coach, right? A lot of these kids do sports. I'm going to get in contact with your coach. Keep acting like that in my classroom, right? Our kids need to be held accountable. But if these teachers are trying to play nice and think, oh, okay, I can handle it, it's all good, I'm going to do it on my own, you cannot. We can't even do it on our own. I was a single mother for 10 years before I got married. I couldn't do it on my own. I absolutely have other figures in Terrence life that helped me raise her and keep her in order. You think you're about to do that with a class of 30? And you white, or you are some other ethnicity, and you're teaching 70% Black kids? Ma'am, sir, it's not going to happen. And so we are just saying, hey, let's open the door. Put us on your team, right? The parent-teacher collaboration needs to increase. Put us on your team. We are here. What you need, what you want. How can we alleviate this? How can we prevent this next month, right? A lot of people were posting, and even a few people that came that said, my kids are in elementary school, but I'm here as a parent, even though I don't even have a high schooler, making sure everything's all good, and I'm laying a foundation for my community. So not only do other women, other girls, other Black kids, period, feel safe in the school, but when my kids come up, we don't have this issue. We don't have this issue. So all I'm saying is, for the Kentwood public school system, they need to be transparent that we were sending them into a school year where there was a shortage of security for 3,000 students. This is not a regular high school. Ottawa Hills East Kentwood is 2 to 3 times the size of Ottawa, right? And I guarantee Ottawa has more security than East Kentwood right now. And no one knew that. I did not listen, they will hound you in your email about sports all day long. They will recruit Black children for sports in their programs all day long. When Superintendent Poston was running off them accolades about those different things, you better believe it was Black boy and Black girl magic dripping all up and through those teams. They want you there because, oh, that's how you be the number one track, number one basketball, number one this, number one that. We need to make sure that these kids are getting a quality education and that they're secure while they're sitting up here getting recruited it for your vested interest. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I got one there, two to come, got nieces and nephews that is coming up the pipeline. I've been in this community, stayed in this community since I was in the 7th grade, right? And again, this is, for many of us, the reason why we are in Kentwood is because of gentrification. When we were in the inner city, right? And then we were pushed out to Kentwood and told to marginalize on out here, right? And now we're having a school system that's not supporting the kids that they done pushed over here. It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. Not on my watch. Not when I got the big old mouth and the gift of gab. Not on my watch when I have children. This is the reason why I work from home and I started my own business. So when I can be at home, when I need to be at home, my kids know I'm a stay-at-home mom first. My clients and everything else, content creation, all that other cute stuff comes second. That comes second. My kids know I be up at that school like white on rice if something happens, especially when it comes to their behavior. That's why I don't have no issues at school with my kids. They know I'm at home 24/7. All somebody got to do is call me. I don't got to get off work. My husband can stay at work. I just come right up the street, right? And that's what these kids need to understand. And that's it. Get into the group. I'm going to put the group link again. The collaborative group for Kentwood Public Schools. We really want to get parents involved to where we start collecting and gathering together, having conversations with our teams, getting them in the room and saying, hey, this is what you do when a situation happens. This is what we expect of you. This is how you operate. This is how you de-escalate a situation. If a girl run up on you, young man, this is how you respond. Sis, if you are mad at a boy at that school, don't run up in his face. Don't argue back and forth. This is what you do, right? We need to talk about this in our community as parents and tell our children what is going on. And then we also need to tell our children this is what their expectations when they're there, and this is what the repercussions is if they do not show up like how we want them to, because they are a representation of this family and this community, and that will not be tolerated. The last thing you need to be worried about is juvenile detention or the police. If I see you kicking somebody in the head, sir, my husband already told my son, you ain't even got to worry about juvenile coming to get you. If you ever kick another person in the head, you're going to have to see me. Right? And my son was like, what I do? Don't you even think about it. Don't let it cross your mind. It could be another boy you fight and kick somebody in the head and see what happens. It will be scorched earth in here, right? So you just got to instill that discipline in our own children, right? A lot of times, and people called it out at the meeting, the social media age, everybody got a phone in their hand, even at school. Nobody's sitting around and teaching and training and nurturing their children. And so they go to school mimicking what they see on social media. It's cute to be on TikTok. It's cute to record fights and pass it around. I put my two kids on notice today because I have access to all 3 of their phones. Let me see you record a video or you pass a video around or somebody sends you a video. It's scorched earth. And for me, I don't whip my children, right? I don't believe in corporal punishment. I don't believe in whipping my children. But what I do believe in, you will have what it looks like a jail cell in your bedroom, because it'll be no color. It will be no games, no toys, no electronics. What else? One of my girls is in friendship bracelet. Ain't gonna be nothing. Ain't gonna be nothing for you. If you condone violence, if you perpetuate violence, if you incite violence up at that school on somebody, it's not going to be tolerated. You will not have an enjoyable childhood because you're making somebody else's childhood unenjoyable. And one thing my husband and I talked about is that how can you, as a child, with this whole bullying thing, and a lot of people spoke on bullying in Kentwood Public Schools and how it gets swept under the rug and these perpetrators are not getting held accountable. And they're not getting any type of repercussion where they will stop. And we were talking to our children. That is why people unalive themselves. That is why y'all generation have one of the highest unalive suicide rates in history, because y'all constantly tearing each other down, making other children feel like they don't want to even come to school. So we put our kids on notice. Don't record it. Don't laugh at it. It ain't funny. Do not involve yourself in it. And if you're not reporting it, you're just a part of the problem. Now, I'm not saying be the neighborhood snitch and be going around, tattletelling, because there's a thing in our community. But what I am saying is, if you see somebody getting picked on, you can pull the behavior specialist to the side and say, hey, don't say my name, but this happened. Or you can come to one of us and I can say, hey, I heard this happen at the school district. Look into that. There are so many different ways our children can report issues among each other without being outed as a snitch or get, for them to become a target. So these are the things we need to be talking about to our children. Somebody said I have the same issue with my son at a Kentwood elementary school. Exactly. It's a thing. It's a thing, unfortunately. And so if we are not, as parents, taking initiative, talking to our children, talking to the teachers, talking to the school board, talking to the chief of police, right? They should all know our names and faces. When I walked in there, hey, Tara, hey, Miss Jones, hey, Miss Williamson, hey, Miss, I've been in these, but they still see my face. I'm at PTO meetings. I'm showing up to my kids at football and basketball games. I'll sit by, I'll hang tight. Me and my sister usually go, we go and do our thing. The presence, when you as a presence in your child's life, wherever they go to, right? If they on social media comments, you need to know what's going on with your teens. Elder teens and young adults need us more than what they did when they were little. Our kids are getting older. They can cook dinner themselves. They can heat up some macaroni and themselves. They can iron their own clothes. Need our guidance more than ever. I want you to just say us coming into, say, 14, 15, how many mistakes you made, how many bad decisions you had, right? This is a time more than ever our on their necks, foot on neck. Where are you going? Who you going with? I need to speak to somebody's parent. No, you cannot go over there. They don't have no parental guidance to the football game. Sure, let me go. I'm not gonna sit with y'all, but I'll be. You can just keep an eye out, right? If the phone, I have the password to it. If you have social media, I have. We have to be nurturing, support center in our children's lives, because again, between that 14 years old, for me, 14 and 20, and my parents' guidance was needed the most. All of this access to each other, to social media, to all these different things, they need our guidance and understanding and our wisdom the most. Right? But however, 14 years old, right? She just turned 14. This was the first time that they didn't come up here. She went down there. She called me every single day. Yes, when we're in this house, she like, yeah. My arm's length, my comfort, I need advice about this. This is not time to let up. This is time to go harder for your. Don't know those children's households and what is going on in their household. My kids know not to go up and that's no judgment. I don't know the household. Their parents could be doing everything, choosing the wrong thing, right? Time more than ever, foot on that. And this season, this day and age, when your children's identity through any means, drugs and fentanyl, dropping dead from fentanyl from use once. My girls, they tried black and mild cigarette, coughed their lungs out half my feet to discover. Our kids don't have that luxury. Kids are trying fentanyl and other drugs. Do you hear me? The luxury of experimenting. We need to be there. Take my advice. A lot less sexually. Say that. Let me rephrase. Don't have. And the baby, right? Months. But people out herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea, all these different things. We need to be having these conversations with our children. Hey, nothing dead that's your age, I hope you know. Tell our kids, we got to tell our kids there are people on to harm themselves. We didn't have that when we, a rope that was looser. That's why foot is on that. And things will still happen. Guiding them and training them. I'm not saying that 100% stellar ain't bang, but I guarantee you, department of their schooling, of their education, physical well-being, a lot of these, and oftentimes we think just because they're getting provided all of the basic and they're doing everything right. And again, I'm not here to, you have to be a lot more intentional. Not only survive through high school, but to thrive after high school. To 25, those children are really, they are really struggling. Mental breaks, aren't able to do because of every little thing that's going on. Handle 2023, how this world is right now. Hold on, I quick. For our children. Thank you for the sweet comment, Leilani. Thank you so much for pointing that out, sweetie. You're so sweet. So you know, and again, bless you, sis. That's what I was. We just have to be the link in the comment section. So you're going on in the Kentwood Public School, and the parents and the community and the order to ensure that our kids have into next school year and beyond. You do not have to be in Grand Rapids. Insight, any resources happen, and so any brainstorming, anything that. So I thank you so much. Let's see, much for let me see, because I'm trying to pin it. Yeah, it's not letting me pin the comment. Yeah, so I dropped it a few times.